Let's talk about the weekend we've just had and Rainbow Laces. If you're not familiar with Rainbow Laces, it's an absolutely brilliant campaign. It's all about inclusion. It's all about getting rid of stigmas within the LGBT plus community, making sure the game is completely inclusive. It's a game for absolutely everyone, Craig, and highlighted by yourself. You came out last year, and you know, it's important that people like you do that, because we need to let everyone know that it is a game for everyone. I'm just interested, though, in your journey, Craig, and what it took you to come out publicly and the difficulties with that.
So I came out 3 years ago, and it was last year that the interviews were done and it sort of went public. So initially, I was going to, when I came out, do the whole sort of media sort of stories, because I knew from being in the closet how valuable those stories were. Because when you're in the closet, it's those sort of stories that gave me that sort of inspiration, that bit of support, that light at the end of the tunnel. But purely from a selfish view, when I did come out 3 years ago, I think that was a big change in itself for me. So it probably took 2 years for things to settle down, for me then to be comfortable, for then someone to ask me whether I'd do that interview. And obviously I did. And the view for doing it was really simple. If it's helped one person, then it was definitely worth doing it.
Did coming out change the experience of refereeing for you in any way?
No, I think I've always viewed rugby as like a bubble where it was safe and I could just get on with doing my job as a referee. So no, it didn't change that environment at all. I think the only thing that changed was people around me were a lot more supportive, or it opened up a lot more conversations with them. They were a lot more prepared to ask questions of me. I think that's where the Rainbow Laces campaign fits in. I very much view those campaigns, whether it's like Lift the Weight, the RPA campaign from a mental health perspective, Rainbow Laces, it's the catalyst to start that conversation. And the more conversations people have, the more they ask questions. I think the more aware of their own actions they can be, because they're more informed, and the more empowered they then are to challenge others if they hear gay slurs, for example, being used that shouldn't.
I want to talk to you about the Quins report. It was a survey by Harlequins and the Harlequins Foundation and Monash University. And it comprised 275 male and female rugby players aged between 16 to 42 from 8 randomly selected rugby clubs in the south of England. And basically it was just about, the LGBT plus community, whether they feel it's completely inclusive. Do they think it's a safe place for people to come out? Will they feel comfortable with that? And actually, some of the numbers were kind of shocking. When you look at these, Craig, 69% of male rugby players heard their teammates using homophobic slurs in the last 2 weeks. 42% of these players admitted to using this language themselves. 67% have at least one close gay friend, and 69% want the language to stop. Players reported language is motivated by peer pressure and typically used to get a laugh out of others. So what we're seeing there is that there are a lot of gay rugby players out there, but they're in an environment where homophobic language is still used, which makes it a very, very difficult place to come out and be yourself. Be a true version of yourself.
Yeah, 100%. I think the thing that report highlighted is that while rugby's in a relatively good place, there's still clearly a lot more that can be done. And I think that report came out linked to the Pride match that Harlequins had. I think that the key with that match, it wasn't just about the match day itself. As I said earlier, that was almost a catalyst. And now I think the Quins Foundation has picked up a lot of work within the local community. And it's through those workshops and it's through that outreach that you can get to more people, not just, say, young kids, but people that play at those local rugby clubs that are at the heart of their communities. And it's through the information and the education that goes through that foundation work that you can start then to see more change, hopefully, to address the stats that you've just come up with. Because on one level, it's still shocking and it still shows more has to be done.
I would have thought after Gareth Thomas came out that we'd see more professional rugby players come out. And clearly from that report, it's still not an environment where people feel safe doing so. Has that surprised you, Craig, that we haven't got more professional rugby players who've come out?
On one level, yes, but then I suppose on the other level, they have to be comfortable coming out, and there can be a whole range of factors that would play into that, both away from the rugby sphere and within it. So all the sport can do is continue to move forward with making the environment we're in as inclusive as it possibly can be. And then, as you say, it'll be a matter of time, I'm sure, until someone feels comfortable coming out. But yeah, we can only focus on improving the environment to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, I find it quite interesting because I interviewed Levi Davis a few months ago, and he's the first current male rugby player to come out as being gay. And you look at the numbers, you look at the amount of rugby clubs that we have in the professional sector. In England, you think, he can't be the only one. And you wonder if that environment is not actually built to be able to allow people to be themselves. And, you know, Craig's right, campaigns like Rainbow Laces, by having these conversations, by educating people, just allows people just to be themselves, which is so important today.